I'm happy to be here with y'all. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Anna Tragesser. I am the Director of Community Impact and Strategic Investment at Indie Arts Council, and I'm here with my teammate Korie. Korie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Korie Griggs. I am the program manager with the Indie Arts Council and former Creative Renewal Fellow, so I'm excited to talk with you all.
Yay. You've probably found yourself here because you're interested in applying for the Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship. Um, or maybe you just want to learn more about what it is. So that's perfect. You're in the right place today. Today, we're going to review the purpose of the fellowship, and we're going to talk a little about what others have done
Um,
in the past to try to get your imagination going about what might be a good fit. We'll dive into the first step of the application process, and that first step is to submit your eligibility by June 14th. I'll take a moment here, take a look at your Zoom, and if you're unmuted, go ahead and mute yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you all. I appreciate that. This workshop is being recorded and we're going to post it to our webpage, the Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship webpage, very soon. So don't worry, you'll be able to go back and review this information, but you can always reach out to me or Korie. The easiest way to get in touch with us is emailing grants@indiearts.org, and one of us will get to you really quickly. So the purpose of this program was actually, let me back up. I forgot to mention that we are going to have some time for Q&A at the end, right after I give you a tutorial of the eligibility form itself. Plenty of questions I'm sure you have. So feel free to drop them in the chat now, and Korie, or anytime throughout this workshop, Korie will answer them if it's pretty clear and simple. Otherwise, we will at the end talk about all of your questions. All right. Purpose of this program. This program was established in 1999 by the Lilly Endowment. The Lilly Endowment has several similar programs, like the Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship, that are focused on different professions: teachers, clergy, human services professionals, youth workers. And the Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship is the first of its kind in the nation to support artists in this way. So since 1999, the Lilly Endowment has invested more than $5 million into over 500 artists and arts administrators in Central Indiana. Creative Renewal Fellows pursue activities that refresh and reconnect them to their creativity, their well-being, or their goals, their person. Renewal means a lot of different things. It looks very different from one person to the next. And that means that all of those fellowship activities look really differently from one person to the next. There's a lot of flexibility in what this fellowship could be for you. But at its most basic, it's $12,000 to pursue those renewal experiences over the course of about an 18-month period. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. In the past, some fellowship activities have included travel, lots of travel in these fellowships, to explore new ideas, cultures, and art forms. Maybe you're pursuing a new or a familiar avenue of creative expression. A lot of folks have pursued some genealogical research or heritage pilgrimages. We've seen a lot of folks pursue wellness or retreats, maybe in a wellness or artistic sense. We've seen a lot of spiritual practice and guidance, intentional focus there. We've also seen a lot of folks focus on their personal health, personal training, nutrition, whatever that looks like for you. And really, there's so much more that this fellowship could be. The point is that your fellowship activities make sense for you at this point in your life and career, and make sense to invest in renewal for what that means for you right now. What I do want you to hear right now, this is maybe the most important thing about this entire process. This fellowship is not a project grant for artistic production or for work. It is not for output. It's for you, for artists, for arts administrators, to take a break, to invest in yourself, to adjust the pace, whatever it needs to be, please hear me say it is not meant for you to embark on a new project that looks and feels a lot like your work. Let me give you a few examples of what this fellowship has been for folks in the past. So Stephanie Nugent is a fashion and textile artist. She traveled with her mother and two colleagues to Japan, where she participated in a textile workshop, explored Kyoto and Osaka, and collected vintage textiles. She also took a sabbatical from pop-up markets to overall do less. And her reflection is that I have reinvigorated my playful spirit with whispers of new to me ancient traditions and have remembered that the world is so much bigger than what running a one-woman small business would have me believe. Korie Ewing, photographer, spoken word artist, and much more, traveled Old Route 66 to explore the intersections with the Green Book, reflecting on the network of support that upheld the humanity of Black travelers in a hostile environment. He shared that not having to produce a new work is huge. This grant is quite singular in its recognition that caring for art should be rooted in caring for artists. Crystal Ford is a musician and arts administrator. She used this fellowship to learn how to build a tiny house. She vacationed with her family and reconnected with loved ones. She shared that having this much uninterrupted time with her family was something she'd never experienced before, and it allowed to connect in a deeper way. And Korie Griggs. Korie, do you want to share just briefly about what you did in your fellowship and what it meant for you?
I would love to. First of all, Creative Renewal quite literally changed my life for the better. And I have reflected and realized that had I not had this space and time to actually rest, I wouldn't have the capacity to do the work that I'm presently doing. But I chose to go out to Washington State and learn from the Haida people and really sit with the elders there and one, pursue more of like just learning about my metal work and the grief practices that are paired with that. So I got to learn what their grief and death and dying practices are and really got a chance to actually tend to my own grief for the first time. I lived on a houseboat for almost a month and just got to like sleep and wake up when I wanted to wake up and read and write when I needed to do that. And really, really, really got to tend to my basic needs in the timing that it was needed. And of course, creation happened while I was amidst all of that, but it was creation from a space of just, oh, I just feel like doing this. Like I didn't actually have to produce anything. And so much beauty and art came from that time that I'm still just sitting in the midst of it. But yeah, it was truly a time of I'm just gonna lay down and I'm gonna learn from this space of rest. And yeah, I cannot say enough how great this grant is and this program is.
Thank you for sharing. As you probably are picking up on in these examples, each one of them is a very specific reason why these folks have chosen whatever activities that they did. And actually, you may not have any idea why this person might have chosen to do XYZ. That's okay. It makes a lot of sense for where they are in their practice, their work, their personal journey. And at this stage of application, you can just start thinking about what that might be in a big, loose concept. At this stage of the application process, you do not have to have all of the details nailed down. We're going to talk more about this, but the eligibility process is really the first step. We just want to confirm that this is a fit for you right now. And then in the application process, the next step of the application process, you'll give a lot more detail about why you're pursuing renewal and why this is right for you right now. You also might find it useful to check out, probably 40 more examples of what folks have done in their fellowship in the past. Feel free if you want to right now, whip out your phone and use this QR code. But this page is also linked on our Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship program page. It's a catalog of the 2022 to 2024 cohort. And then very soon we'll have many more updated stories from the 2024 to 2026 cohort. Feel free to refer back to those to get some inspiration. But again, remember that this is just for specifically whatever is going on for you right now, what makes sense for renewal for you. Okay. Well, throughout the fellowship, as you are pursuing whatever activities make sense for you, we also host a series of optional celebrations and gatherings for the cohort, including an induction ceremony. So at the very beginning of the fellowship, the Indie Arts Council hosts a special celebration at the Arts Garden to honor each new fellow together with their friends and family. This was a goofy, fun cohort. Loved it a lot. For about 4 times over the course of our 18-month fellowship period, we also host these gatherings for the cohort to just really build community with each other, share experiences, and reinforce these renewing practices or just reminders of what kind of resources for renewal might be closer to home. And in the past, these kinds of activities and gatherings have included a sound bath, a dinner, just some nice food together, a reflective hike, and a storytelling workshop. And then finally, when the fellowship period ends, each fellow will contribute a very small amount of artwork, writing, photos, or artifacts from your experience into this group exhibition, which celebrates the many, many different journeys of renewal that have taken place. So just a few snapshots into what this fellowship has looked like and could look like for you. But now let's think about applying. This is the application process. It is slightly different than what has happened in the past. Hopefully it's actually simpler and saves some time for you. Applicants must submit their eligibility information by June 14th, 11:59 p.m. This step is required. You will not be able to proceed through the application process if you do not complete this step. I'm going to walk you through exactly what that is here in a moment. It's really pretty straightforward. Then Indie Arts Council staff will confirm that each applicant is indeed eligible. We'll send you an email on June 25th. And at that time, eligible applicants will have access to the full application. And that application would be due August 2nd, 11:59 p.m. Applications are read by a panel of independent, conflict-free reviewers. And Indie Arts Council Board of Directors makes the final funding decisions in collaboration with the Lilly Endowment. Award notifications will be emailed in early November. And then your renewal activities will start, hopefully. They can take place anytime between November of 2026 and May of 2028. It's an 18-month window. There's no minimum amount of time that those activities should take place, and no maximum except for that it should take place within that 18-month window. Start and begin within the 18-month window. Applications must be submitted through our online grant platform. And when I say applications, we mean both the eligibility part of it and the full application process. Everything really needs to be submitted at our grant platform. And I'll show you exactly where to find it here in a moment. It is indiearts.grantplatform.com. This is a really competitive opportunity. We'll have 50 awards in this round, and which is an increase from the past. This most recent cohort was also 50 awardees. Now this is the second time that we'll award 50 folks. But we typically receive more than 300 applications. We take this whole process really seriously and really feel like stewards of your time, of your focus, and know that what we're asking you in the full application, what we're asking you to share with us, can be really vulnerable and can be tough. We hope that the whole process, no matter what the outcome of it is, we do value it as a moment to center and reflect and believe that our creative community deserves renewal, no matter what it looks like. At the very least, we hope it is just a moment to come back to that and to imagine for every person who's applying, to imagine what would that look like for me? And we know that it's heartbreaking to be rejected for this grant opportunity. We're really excited and grateful for you to go through this process with us, and just want you to know that we see you, we read all of your applications, and we do believe this is important no matter what the outcome of this fellowship application is. Okay, well, in a moment, I'm going to demonstrate the eligibility form process. But again, just want to reiterate that you must submit your eligibility information by June 14th in our grant platform. And here's what we're looking for, right? So the guidelines that we're using to determine eligibility at this stage are on the screen here. And these are used, Indie Arts Council reviews these, but what we really need you to provide as much information as you can to help us make it really easy to see, like, yes, this person's eligible, confirmed and moving forward. So first of all, residency. The applicant must have lived or primarily worked in one of these counties for the past 2 years and should plan to continue doing so for the entire 18-month fellowship period. If you are leaving, obviously, if you're traveling, that's fine. We just want your best assurance that you're planning to continue being part of our community afterwards. The applicant must also be a professional artist or an arts administrator who has been working in the arts for at least 5 years. Now, those don't have to be consecutive years, and they don't have to be in the same position or doing the same exact thing. But for 5 years, you should have been working as a professional artist or arts administrator. At the time that you're applying, you should be actively pursuing a career in the arts, or arts administrators must be currently employed at a nonprofit arts organization. This experience, this career experience, and this length of working in the arts should be really clear in your resume. So this is a great moment to update your CV and resume. Add every professional experience or professional level experience that you have had in the arts and help us see really clearly that you've been doing this at a professional level for the past, or for 5 years at least. And finally, majority of income. You should demonstrate in that resume, really, it should be reasonable for our team to understand that you've been generating the majority of your income over the past 2 years through your artistic practice or your work as an arts administrator. And we've outlined the disciplines that we're really focusing on in this program. If you're not sure if your artistic work falls into any of these disciplines, that's just a great time to reach out to me or Korie, and we can help sort that out with you. Past Creative Renewal Fellows may also apply. If you had received a fellowship between round 1, which was 1999, through round 10, which was awarded in 2017, then you may apply again for a second fellowship. You can receive a maximum of 2 Creative Renewal Arts Fellowships in your lifetime. We do give preference to folks who have not received the fellowship in the past, but absolutely folks receive the second fellowship in plenty of opportunities. And that means that they've really clearly demonstrated that renewal is right for them in this moment. Okay. I'm sure you have a lot of questions in your mind. Again, feel free to drop them in the chat. We will get to them at the end, and you can always reach out to Korie or I at grants@indiearts.org if you want to talk through a specific scenario. Okay. Now, the application itself the full application, so if you've been confirmed eligible and now you have access to the full application, you will have a lot more space for narrative responses. We'll be asking you more specific questions about your activities and your need for renewal at this time. And we will also provide more opportunities for workshops, provide more application tips to folks who are confirmed eligible and invited to finish that application after June 25th. But for now, you should know that in the end, a strong application will be aligned with the Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship, the purpose of the program. It will also clearly describe the need for renewal at this point in your life and in your career. It will provide a clear explanation of how your proposed activities would renew you personally or professionally. And finally, it will be a realistic and clear, detailed plan for what you're envisioning doing during the fellowship. Oh, sorry, I had a screen for that. I'll give you a moment to process. It will be aligned with the intention of the program. It will be clear that there's a need for renewal at this time of your life and career. It will be clear that those fellowship activities will renew you personally and professionally, and it will be feasible, realistic, and clear plan for what you're doing during that fellowship. All right. Well, now we're going to walk through the eligibility form. That's the first step of the application process. So you must create an account in our grant platform. Go to indiearts.grantplatform.com. And if you already have an account, great, just log in, right? You just need an email address to get started in here. This is going to be an online, primarily written application. But if there are circumstances where that is not the best way for you to communicate well, if you prefer to have video responses or if you communicate best in another language, just a couple of ideas there of what might make that difficult for you, just reach out. We'll do our best to accommodate, make sure that you have access to communicate well in this application. Okay, well, let me adjust my screen here. And now I'm logged in to the grant platform. When you log in, you can see I am on the apply page. So if you don't see this when you log in, you'll just make sure you're clicked on apply here. And we'll scroll down and find the current open applications from Indie Arts Council. Obviously, you'll want to start an application for the Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship. If you've already started an application, you can save and come back to it. And in this case, I have done that. So if you scroll down past those open opportunities, you'll find any of your past applications. So let's go ahead and pick up where I left off. Pretty simple here. Add your name. In this field, you can, if you tend to use a different name other than your legal name and you prefer to be called by that name, if it's your artist name or any other name, just go ahead and add that in this first name field and then tell us your legal name here. You can see that there are a handful of tabs. You can feel free to browse through them before you begin, but don't worry, this system will yell at you if you forget to fill out anything that's required. But we'll just go through here and you can see really quite simple contact information that we're filling out. And then we'll begin to confirm some of the requirements of eligibility. You should just answer all of these questions honestly. I'll show you in a moment that there is a field. If you feel that maybe I answered no to this, but I just need to tell you, maybe as an applicant, I just need to communicate like why I may not meet the letter of the eligibility guidelines, but it's very clear to me that I should be eligible. We've given you a little space to help us understand more of the full context, so feel free to do that. Um, we are, of course, using those eligibility guidelines to determine if you are eligible or not. This is a fun little piece here, but you may apply as either an arts administrator or an artist. It doesn't really matter. If you feel you fit both of those, you can decide how you want to apply. It doesn't really make any difference at the end of the day. But if you are clearly an arts administrator or clearly an artist, you will obviously select whatever fits you best. But you will, no matter what, you'll select one of those two. And you probably saw as I toggled back and forth between those responses, some of the questions further on the page changed. Some slight differences in how the eligibility is worded is really the main difference there. So really this mirrors everything we've already talked about. You will upload your resume or CV. Again, just a reminder, add all of your professional experience there as it relates to the arts, to your arts career. We're looking for, the past 2 years residency. We're looking for that 5 years of career experience, and we're looking for reasonable experience that we understand that you probably have generated the majority of your income in some of those professional experiences. This next field, you'll provide a very brief summary of what you think you might want to do in the fellowship. Like I mentioned earlier, at this stage of your brainstorming, you're thinking big picture. You're thinking, I think I might want to travel to this particular place. I think I need to slow down and spend some time focusing on my spiritual wellness. I think I want to work with a specific mentor. Great. That's the kind of information we want to see here. In the full application, you'll provide lots more detail about it. But for now, this just helps us understand if you're headed in the right direction. This isn't going to be used to determine your eligibility specifically. It's more for us to help give you a little bit of feedback so that if you are eligible and you complete the rest of the application, we might see something and catch it and say, ooh, okay, you're eligible, but this is not a great fit for this proposal. Change the concept of what you're planning to do. That's really the whole point of this. And as I mentioned earlier, here's that field. If you need to tell us something else that helps us understand how you are eligible, you can do that very briefly there. It's not required for you to complete this field at all. Okay, as you can see, we can save and come back to it later or proceed on. So let's go ahead and move through. If you are applying as an artist, you are just asked to submit some work samples. Again, this is not something that's going to be judged for quality. It's purely just to affirm and confirm that you're actively producing at a level that mirrors your professional work experience in your resume. So just submit whatever you feel best represents your professional career in the arts. And we also ask you to submit recent work, which we define here as, let me see, I can't read it. The last 3 years. You can upload files or you can add links or video. Either one is fine, but please upload at least one, no more than 4. The last piece of this form is simply just demographic information. None of this information is used to determine your eligibility. It just helps us understand who's accessing this opportunity at a more deeper level. All right, when you feel like you have finished this application, you can submit it. Woo, submit early, go for it. You can see at the very top here, there's a countdown, how much time you have left to submit. I mean, friendly word of advice, right? Don't wait till the last second just because it's inevitable that you're going to have some kind of tech issue and it's going to cause stress. But hey, if that happens, no panic, okay? Just send me or Korie an email if something crazy happens at the deadline, but don't wait till the very last second. Okay, so that's the eligibility form. That's all you need to do at this stage. It's mostly kind of check boxes type questions, right? So hopefully you can make that through in a pretty straightforward way. As always, feel free to reach out to Korie or I with any questions at all. Grants@indiearts.org is the easiest place. to reach us both. So let me pause for a second. You probably have had questions as we've been talking. I'm going to go to Korie. Korie, tell me about some of the lingering questions. Thank you for answering some of those throughout the meeting.
Yeah, so some of the questions have been if there are a certain number of grants going to be dedicated to artists versus arts administrators, how much art versus work outside of art should we put on our resume? And a question of if your career has changed in the last like year or so, are you still eligible? And so my encouragement has been to have that very reflected in your resume, as well as there's a space in the application to be a little bit more specific about what those changes are.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for answering a lot of those in the chat. Is there anything that's not been able to be answered yet?
We just got two more. I have not been able to answer those
Oh,
yet.
that's okay.
One is if our recent work as an artist has been teaching others, does the work sample mirror what others have completed as a result, or are you more looking for our direct work?
Okay, great question. I agree that teaching is a core part of earning income as an artist. We consider that to be like that. If you're an artist and you're earning income in that way, that's great. We're gonna find that that meets the eligibility criteria, first of all. Secondly, there's some flexibility in what you submit in the work samples. Submit what you feel best illustrates the work that you're demonstrating in your resume. So maybe there's a little mix for you. Maybe you submit one or two pieces of your own work, and maybe you submit a couple photos of teaching experiences that you've had, if that's available to you.
Another question is, this is not relevant to the application process, but if awarded, are we able to request our payment to come in for the 2027 tax year versus the 2026 tax year?
Yes.
Yeah, I did that.
Yep.
Another question is, do we request any tax forms to reflect income?
Nope.
Uh,
Good points to consider, though. I would encourage everyone to visit our website, Creative Renewal Arts Fellowship webpage, where the full guidelines are linked. I'll take a moment to pull that up here to show you exactly where to find it, but it is important for you to read all of the guidelines and understand all of the requirements and dynamics in this process because yeah, if you didn't know before, grants are taxable income, always. They are. They will show up on your 1099, and so just be mindful of that. That's something that is listed in the guidelines as a reminder. That's why I bring it up now. So here is indiearts.org. I have gone to this section here. I've clicked grants, and you can see lots more about all of Indie Arts Council's grants. And as we scroll down, find a nice, easy link to log into our grant platform, as well as to explore all of the current um, open opportunities. So this page here is where I would encourage you to read through all of the details, try to give you a lot more full and info details you can refer back to, as well as a link to the guidelines. Step 1, read the guidelines, okay? Take yourself on a coffee date and print these off and mark them up and circle your questions and then reach out to us. But seriously, you should read the guidelines.
we've had a couple
Okay,
of questions come in.
perfect.
One is if our renewal would involve other parties, i.e., visiting an artist studio, when would we reach out to that other party to confirm their involvement?
Oh, great question. Definitely wait until the full application process. So, I mean, you can certainly do whatever you want, right? But if it would probably help you to at least confirm that it's feasible for you to visit them before you submit the full application in August. So maybe focus that task in the time frame of, June 25th after you're confirmed eligible and definitely before August 2nd.
And then another question is, how would you want us to show we've lived off our art without forms? Should we list partners and all prior gigs/bookings?
Yes.
Oh, we got another one. In addition to the CV, what other kinds of materials will we need to submit for the full applications? Letters of reference, larger work samples, etc.
Great question. We do not need any other work samples other than just to confirm your eligibility. The only scenario where we would need someone else to like a letter of reference or something like that is we don't need a letter of reference, first of all, but if you're applying as an arts administrator and if your activities, your fellowship activities would require you to take an extended leave of absence beyond what your normal employer PTO policy would be, we just would want confirmation from your board of directors or your CEO or executive director that that would be cool with them if you're awarded the fellowship. It's a really simple form to fill out. The other application materials are simply some narrative questions. Tell us about why you are pursuing renewal at this time. Why is it right for you right now? Tell us about what the fellowship activities would be. What's your plan? And tell us why that will feasibly lead to renewal. We also ask if this is, like if this would be your second fellowship, if you've already been awarded a fellowship and you're coming back to apply again. We ask you one additional question. Tell us about why this is different this time. What's important about receiving the fellowship for you right now? Okay. I haven't seen any additional questions yet. Have you, Korie?
No, I believe we're all caught up.
Sweet. Well, I think y'all know where to find us. If anything else pops up in your mind, and I'm sure it will, grants@indiearts.org. We're excited to learn more about your plans for renewal, y'all. Wishing you the best. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.